Welcome, everybody. We are back with another edition of our Star Trek Top 10. This week, the HIROGEN, which I had to ask Derek what they are. Welcome, Derek. What are the HIROGEN?
As I was trying to explain to you, so they come from the Voyager series when the USS Voyager gets sent to the Delta Quadrant. And like I said, I like to think of HIROGEN as two things. One is they're the kind of the predator or the Trandoshans of the Star Trek universe because they go by a point system in hunting. But what's also cool is they utilize holodecks when they learn about different species that they encounter and their military histories, their fighting histories, all their types of things that they do, and they upload that to train in the holodecks to become better hunters.
I love that. All right, let's look at our first card here, the HIROGEN Outpost.
A lot of the cards you're going to find here are from the a print era of Decipher. There's a couple of cards that'll be things that we will push through that were Trek CC. But the first one starting out, like most, right? We typically talk about the facilities or anything, right? This one is really just because it's the only facility at this point in time for the HIROGEN. Now, one of the things that is really cool that the Decipher team did with the Delta Quadrant is that they really made it thematic of most affiliations are focused around their ships, right? Because that's where the USS Voyager, there's no Federation or Federation outposts in the Delta Quadrant because there's so many, millions of light years away from basically, the Alpha Quadrant where Earth resides. So you have this one, but really the main thing is that is your, place where you can, report your HIROGEN personnel. It does, download the HIROGEN Hunt, which will be the next card we'll talk about, but it's just a staple card to be able to have. And it gives your cards, your personnel a place to report initially, along with also having a place where your ships can dock, with still giving your ships a little bit extra defensive power when you extend the shields to those ships.
Okay. Next, we have HIROGEN Hunt as well as Coordinated Effort.
Yes. So HIROGEN Hunt is again original Decipher era card when it came out from the Borg. This is one of the main cards that gets the HIROGEN going, specifically with being able to download free personnel, or I shouldn't say download, play free personnel, which is through the Alpha HIROGEN or a personnel HIROGEN with naming the Alpha in their lore text box. But it also allows you to get a little bit of chain of some other things going, which are some other cards we'll mention here just because they're staples in a HIROGEN deck. The main one is Rituals of the Hunt, HIROGEN Hunt, or any HIROGEN chip. And you're thinking, well, HIROGEN Hunt, why would I want to have HIROGEN Hunt download HIROGEN Hunt? But it's because of its second function here where it plays on your HIROGEN ship. Its transporters may be used to beam through shields of any damage shipped here. So again, the idea for this is that when you attack your opponent's ship, once it's damaged, now you can go over and play HIROGEN Hunt on it, beam through, ignoring their shields. Now you can have combat on their ship with your HIROGEN, which are vastly superior in strength, have really cool weapons, and you can attack them in personal battle, which some of the other cards will find is that you'll be able to capture them and get bonus points. But also one of the things that the Trek CC did introduce just to help the HIROGEN a little bit keep par from a play engine perspective is HIROGEN Hunt Coordinated Effort. So it's a different card, but because of it sharing the same initial name of HIROGEN Hunt can download Coordinated Effort. And basically it seeds or plays on table. So again, not having to spend a seed card to play this and just be able to download it with the original HIROGEN Hunt. Once each turn, if all your ships are in play, you get to basically do a self-seed dilemma, which is a great way of getting bonus points because you can battle ships, or to, again, be able to play a universal HIROGEN personnel, which, again, more free plays, the better.
All right, on to number 3 here.
So one of the other cards mentioned from the HIROGEN Hunt is Rituals of the Hunt. This is a phenomenal card. What this does is basically setting the prey, essentially. You play this on one of your opponent's personnel, and it can be anyone. So, we've mentioned some really cool skill personnel out there like Jean-Luc Picard, or Ambassador Spock, those types of cards out there. You play this on that personnel, and any of your Hirogen that have anthropology, add that personnel skill to their skill set. So imagine having, a 3 or 4 skill set Alpha Hirogen with anthropology, all of a sudden be able to have the same skills as Jean-Luc Picard. Or, you know what? You need it this turn, but next turn you need empathy or something to pass. You can basically pull this card into hand, play it next turn, and put it on Lexana Troy or Deanna Troy. And now all your anthropology Hirogens now have empathy, which is great for just bashing through high point missions in the Delta Quadrant and bypassing your opponent's dilemmas. So, but again, it also allows your equipment and Hirogen personnel to report directly to your Hirogen ship, which is another great card on top of that as well. And then you can also capture Hirogen when they damage them in personal battle, rather than discarding them when you have the Talon. So I mentioned, the Hirogen Talon here is a great card to play with this because, one, it's for free, but 2, it also gives all your Hirogen +1 strength. And as mentioned, it does allow them to capture your opponent's personnel. And last, yeah, it's kind of like the wall from Predator 2, right?
Yeah.
When they had the big reveal of the xenomorph from Alien, everybody's like, ah. So it's kind of similar, right? Stealing a little bit the thunder. But again, another great card, Relics of the Chase, which again, Caesar plays on the table. Once per battle, your Hirogen may capture an opposing personnel they just stunned. So again, rather than killing personnel or stunning personnel in personal battle that you just went over because you damaged their ship, now you're capturing them. And again, the more Hirogens you're capturing, or I'm sorry, the more opponents you're capturing with your Hirogen, the better. One, because it's better than your opponent discarding those cards, right? Because there's ways to pull those cards back into their deck or into their hand or even to their table. But when they're captured, there's not a whole lot they can do. Plus, it also prevents them from playing another copy, right? So if somebody had 3 Jean-Lucs in their deck, but one died, they can play another one. Well, if Jean-Luc's captured, they can't play Jean-Luc Picard to the table because of the unique play area in scope here. So again, great card of being able to capture, which again is a great thematic.
All right, number 5.
So Hunting Group was a great card that was printed in the holodecks for the Hirogen because, again, by the end of this era, Decipher knew that they weren't going to be continuing to push first edition. They were moving on to second edition, and they weren't going to be doing much more with the Delta Quadrant. But even this card here can play on any mission. So you can even play it on the Alpha or Gamma Quadrant if you're able to move your Hirogen ships to there. But basically it allows you to play this card on any non-Hirogen space mission with a point box. And basically you have new requirements that allow you to tempt it and then hopefully solve it. And then you're basically being able to solve that mission, which is great. But then if your opponent's at that mission with any of their ships, you automatically capture them if your weapons are more than double there to your opponent's personnel. I'm sorry, personnel ships.
Charon.
So yeah, so we're going to obviously include some key personnel that the Hirogen can use. Really, I'll be fair, almost any of the Alpha Hirogen are really good cards and could make this list. But I decided to pick Charon just because he's got really good skills. He's got the anthropology, as I mentioned earlier, which is great. So that way you can give him, like I said, play Rituals of the Hunt and give, all the skills of Jean-Luc Picard or whoever you want to, Captain Kirk, whatever, to your Hirogen with anthropology. But then also he's got the Hirogen Disruptor Rifle, which is just a great card of getting equipment, adding more strength to Hirogen. You can already see he's at a strength 9. So now you give him a Hirogen Disruptor Rifle +4 strength for all the Hirogen present. He's already at 13. And again, there's more cool stuff that you can play on the Hirogen to keep pumping up that strength. Another cool Hirogen personnel is from the Trek CC. So as I mentioned, right, there's a lot of times where the Voyager personnel were captured and they were put through the holodecks and they were either, mimicked to look like other affiliations or they were done kind of in the past There's one where they do about based off all World War II and all this stuff, trying to tell their story for the episode. But this one here obviously is great for both Klingon and HIROGEN. But this one's really nice because it does a couple of things. First, it gives your HIROGEN personnel present strength +1. So again, continue to pump up the strength. But 2 is also this download of Warrior's Birthright. Warrior's Birthright is actually a second edition card that was backwards compatible. But with the CC, what they did with the Metamorphosis set was they took all those cards that they wanted to for current time being, gave them a first edition template look, and then anything else that wasn't translated or made into backwards compatible at the time was basically banned then at that current time. So that helped streamline a lot of the first edition. But this card got a bit of a boost because it obviously is all the affiliations mentioned here. But again, mentioning HIROGEN, anytime they can contribute their strength instead of integrity or cunning when you want to try and solve a mission, as well as dilemmas here, right? So as I mentioned, you're pumping up strength already with all the cool gimmicks and weapons and everything that the HIROGEN get. So now you're easily bypass your opponent's dilemmas that require, maybe high integrity or cunning, which, may not be the best strength that the HIROGEN have. But now you can easily bypass it by focusing on strength.
All right. Number 8.
Eden. So obviously any of the collectors out there know this is a valuable card, as this is one of the dual affiliations from the Holodecks Adventure set. Here you'll see that Eden serves as both a Bajoran and HIROGEN. And for this one, he's a really good card. He is a holo, character, so you have to keep him where you have a holodeck available. But this is really cool because this allows you to download Children of the Light, which is a play engine to some degree, where basically it's an incident that allows your holodeck personnel to be able to mix and have no affiliation attack restriction, which is really good. But it also allows you to play your plays to capture all of your opponent's holodeck personnel present with Eden aboard your Alara or anyone that's aboard your damaged ship. So again, just a great card for HIROGEN, but it also gives you a second play engine for HIROGEN where you can then do focusing on the holo personnel, which is really cool.
All right, number 9. We're going to do our final couple.
Yep. So we're going to have some ships coming up here. The first one's the Alara. This one's obviously just, does great with the previous card, Eden and Children of Light. And obviously having that holodeck allows your holodeck cards to, report aboard. Just a classic card, iconic card. If you're, again, fan of Voyager, familiar with it. It's, one of the few name ships for the HIROGEN. But again, just a great card because it's also possible that anytime that you have it in HIROGEN mode, you can flip it to non-aligned if you needed to, which can really help depending on the situation you're in.
Okay, and I think our last one, Hunting Vessel.
Yep. So Hunting Vessel, again, just one of the great cards in the Cypher era for the HIROGEN ships, because as I mentioned, right, the HIROGEN ships have really powerful ships, and this one just compounds over and over because for all your staff ships that you have, it is weapons. The X makes 7 plus whatever the number of other staffed HIROGEN ships you have present here. So again, if you have 4 hunting vessels present with each other, because they are universal and they're pretty easy to staff with just 2 regular staffing icons. So most of your, even universal HIROGEN personnel have that. So you put 2 of them aboard, you got 4 of them, and now your single hunting vessel of 7 plus 1, 7 plus 0 is now a 7 plus 3 to make it 10 weapons, right? But you have 4 ships, so now you have 40 weapons. So you can easily blow up your opponent's ship, compound with hunting group, damage their ships. So you can go over and start attacking them. All sorts of cool shenanigans that you could do thematically with the HIROGEN, like I said, of capturing and hunting down and setting your prey, essentially.
And that is all we have here. So this seems like a really fun faction to play. I'm not going to lie. They seem like they have kind of a unique game mechanic here.
Yeah, they're actually really powerful if you mix them to some degree with the USS Equinox and Far Away from Home in the original print run, because that allowed you to play a lot of the non-aligned Delta Quadrant personnel, which a lot of the Voyager people were made dual affiliation between, like the Maquis and the Borg that were absorbed. So you can mix the non-aligned versions of them with the Hirogen. You had two play engines, but that's where the hunting escorted fleet would allow the universal Hirogen to keep it strictly Hirogen. But yeah, they're phenomenal because, again, they get some really cool skills. You're just attacking your opponent while also being able to bust dilemmas with like Warrior's Birthright and all the other cool stuff.
Cool. Well, Derek, thank you for once again doing a video where I contributed absolutely nothing to the conversation.
That's okay. As long as people are enjoying it and they have questions, they can obviously leave anything in the comment or what they think are some key cards we might have left out. All good.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want a faction, we're happy to do requests. We're making our way through these, so we got a lot to go, but happy to hear what you would like to see next as well. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time.